Hey folks, Santino Pino here with another Bureau of Prisons headline. You can listen and follow along. Just where I'm at, I don't have a camera right now, but I definitely wanted to cover this article as soon as I saw it came across. Colorado BOP investigator indicted on charges of providing over 400 vapes, 100 phones to inmate. An indictment alleges the Florence prison lieutenant received more than $15,000 for facilitating deliveries of cell phones, nicotine, vapes, and alcohol. And I've said this for years. When stuff like this happens, when you see staff getting paid a lot of money for this, there's two scenarios, one very likely, one very unlikely. And the unlikely scenario, let's start with that one, the probably didn't happen scenario, is that this was the plan all along. They got a job so they could eventually work here and bring stuff in. Now, it's near impossible for that, but I have seen that happen, believe it or not, okay? But the more than likely scenario is that when any staff member that I've seen it starts bringing in contraband where they've been manipulated by an inmate, it usually started with something small, usually a mistake, and that mistake gets covered up because they don't want to get caught. They don't want the slap on the hand, so they cover up the slap on the hand, and then it just continually, progressively get worse. There used to be a great class that we offered when I worked in the state of Arizona called Con Games that inmates play, and it would talk about and describe the algorithm on how inmates manipulate staff members into bringing in stuff, okay? And it usually starts with something small, like taking out your trash, finding something in your trash, and then you get caught. And then they ask, okay, can I do that again? And after you know what they're doing, if you don't say anything, they've got you. You have to dime yourself out. If you make a mistake in prison, go to your lieutenant, go to your supervisor, and dime yourself out. And here's why. We're going to jump into the article now. Okay, so Florence, Colorado, an investigator at the federal prison in Florence is accused of taking cash and alcohol in exchange for giving hundreds of contraband items to an inmate, according to a grand jury indictment by. And listen, and if this guy took alcohol, like if you have a vice like that and an inmate finds out about that, like you can be actually bought off with alcohol. Think about that. Something you could go buy at the store on your own. Really, you can go buy this at the store on your own, but because someone says, hey, I'll give you alcohol if you sacrifice your career and put your coworkers in danger, and this person said yes. That's unfortunate. So Bureau of Prisons SIS lieutenant, wow, I'm not going to get into that here, but really that's the investigations department of the Bureau at each individual facility. So the SIS lieutenant was arrested by Department of Justice special agents in Cannon City on June 4th and is charged in federal court with conspiracy, bribery, providing contraband in prison, and unlawful interception. The indictment shows his primary responsibility as an investigator was to have oversight of investigation, mitigation, and elimination of illicit activities in prison. And don't get me wrong, now let's talk about this, okay? And I'm not going to get really into it, but there is a need for the SIS department in the Bureau of Prisons to have a gray area in the rules for the greater good. Okay, if there is something that could come about that's a danger to other staff members or inmates, and it just takes a little bit of per se contraband that's not too dangerous, maybe some candy or something like that, to save a life or prevent an injury. Like, I've always been for that. I'm not against it. Okay, I think there's actually some things in place where that can happen, and sorry to say all that out there, I don't work there anymore. But there is no excuse for cell phones and drugs. None. There is no payoff where that is necessary because they are too dangerous to have in prison. Drugs affect the mind, and now you're dealing with a person that is no longer subject to reality, so they're going to be very, very dangerous. Cell phones connect them with the outside, allow them to connect with resources on the outside, and you can literally just say, hey, this officer's walking out right now, go ahead and kill him in the parking lot. And I'm not saying, God, no, don't take that as what you should be doing, please, for the algorithm, but No, that is what happens, though. That is what happens. And there's plenty of correctional cases where a cell phone in prison led to a phone call by an inmate that led to a staff member being killed or injured. Okay? So from September to December 2024, he allegedly received payment from an inmate's family member after providing logistical assistance to get the contraband to the inmate according to the charging documents. Across 5 alleged instances, he helped provide 123 cell phones, 415 nicotine vaporizers, and 274 bottles of alcohol while receiving 15,500 and approximately 6 bottles of alcohol. Like 15,000 cash and 6 bottles of alcohol, and that's what you cost. And I will tell you right now, like, one of the most fascinating things I was ever told when I was working in prison was by a leader that got up there and was educating us on the con games that inmates play. He said, everybody's got a price. Everybody's got a price. And some people's price might be a few bucks and some food. Some people's price might be a few $1 million. Some people's price might be the safety of their family. Okay? But this person's price was $15,500 and 6 bottles of alcohol. That was their price to sacrifice their values, allegedly. Allegedly. They have not, that's why I'm not saying their name. They haven't been convicted. You can read it, though. Okay? If convicted on all counts, he could face up to 30 years in prison and thousands of dollars in fines. In a statement to the Gazette, the BOP said it does not discuss pending legal proceedings, but I do. Sorry. His employment history provided by the Bureau of Prisons shows that he's been employed in Florence since 2014 and was promoted to lieutenant in 2021. So he left. He entered the Bureau the same year that I left the Bureau. I left the Bureau of Prisons in 2014. So he pleaded not guilty in the case and was issued a $20,000 bond before being released on June 9th. Both orders followed filings submitted a day prior with letters from his family asking the judge to order his release according to court documents. One of those letters indicted him. One of those letters indicated, he is a military veteran with over 10 years of service. And so that's very normal, that's very normal of staff members, especially in the Bureau of Prisons, to have military experience. A final trial prep conference is set to take place in the federal courthouse in Denver on August 3. But wow, just wow. The people I feel bad for most are the people that worked with him. It is so sad, especially when it's a supervisor or somebody in a supervisory rank, when something like this happens. It is such a shot in the foot of morale. There's people that looked up to this person, that cared for this person, and they were pulling some shady stuff. And then the echo effect on that one is, for a time, there's worry about every supervisor. Like the people that were enamored or followed that person or were coachable to this person now feel betrayed. And then unfortunately, and I'm saying this because I don't want it to happen, unfortunately, that feeling of betrayal gets transferred when they're no longer there. That feeling of betrayal gets transferred to their other supervisors. And because there's just no resolution. And I hope you're hearing my voice if you watch this video or listen to this video, really, and you work there, or that's been your experience, and then you find yourself skeptical of your other supervisors after that. That's why. It's that echo effect, that blowback, because you can't come to a resolution of someone that you looked up to. They're now gone. You'll never have communication with them ever again, okay? And now you're just stuck with those feelings, and they usually come outward towards your existing supervision. So just be aware of that. And I would also say, supervisors, if you're hearing this and that happens to you, just let them go off and then just ask them if they feel better, okay? It's a tough situation. There's a BOP family for a reason. I hope this goes through very smoothly. If he's guilty, he's going to face it. If he's not guilty, I hope he's found not guilty. But the courts will decide that. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching this video. Watching it helps, but liking and subscribing helps even more. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, I would personally appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we will see you in the next time that the Bureau of Prisons is in the headlines. See you next time.